Under this quiet Lithuanian forest, the Soviets hid 4 nuclear missiles, each one aimed at a Western capital. For 16 years, nobody was allowed to know they were down there. For 50 years, Lithuania was the western frontier of the Soviet Empire. Its forests, coast and cities turned into a wall of air bases, listening posts, closed towns and secret bunkers pointed at NATO. Then, in 1991, the empire let go and left almost all of it behind to rust. Some of what it left is merely forgotten, some of it is still lethal. These are 8 forbidden Soviet places still hidden across Lithuania. And they grow stranger and more dangerous as we count down. We begin at number 8. Number 8, a palace of concrete in the heart of Vilnius. The Palace of Concerts and Sports opened in 1971, a sweeping Soviet modernist hall where the whole republic came for basketball finals, galas and party congresses. Its vast cantilevered roof was a showpiece of Soviet engineering, and for 2 decades it was one of the most important buildings in the capital. But the palace hid an uncomfortable truth. It was raised over the old Shnipishke's Jewish cemetery, one of the oldest in Europe. Its gravestones cleared away to pour the foundations. After independence, the Great Hall fell silent, and in 2004, it closed for good. Today it stands empty and fenced off in the middle of the city. Too controversial to reopen, too significant to demolish, quietly decaying where it sits. Number 7. The spa town the Union came to heal in, deep in the southern pine forests, Druskininkai and its mineral springs became one of the Soviet Union's favourite resorts. The state built grand sanatoriums here, marble lobbies, treatment wings and dining halls, and shipped in workers by the trainload, their 2-week cures paid for by the Union as a reward for good labour. When the Union dissolved, the subsidised patients stopped coming, and the largest of the old sanatoriums were simply shuttered. Some have since been reborn as modern spas, but others were left to the damp. Grand Soviet halls with peeling ceilings, empty pools, and corridors of rusting iron beds, standing dark among the pines while the town reinvents itself around them. Number 6. The forest the army never gave back. South of Vilnius stretches the Rūdninkai range, a vast expanse of woodland the Soviet military sealed off as a training ground and firing range. Tanks churned its clearings, artillery hammered its targets, and beneath the trees, the army sank concrete bunkers to store its ammunition, far from any prying Western eye. The soldiers withdrew in the 90s and left the range behind, a landscape still scarred with bunkers, revetments, and the rusting hulks of Soviet vehicles swallowed by young forest. Parts are still marked with old warnings, and unexploded shells lie in the soil to this day. The trees have grown back over the Empire's private war game and quietly hidden it away. Number 5. A Cold War airfield built to strike NATO. At Zokniai outside Šiauliai, the Soviets ran one of the largest military air bases in the whole Baltic. A sprawl of runways, hardened shelters and hangars from which interceptors and bombers stood ready around the clock. This was the sharp edge of Soviet air power on the Empire's western rim. When Moscow's forces pulled out, they abandoned much of the base, leaving concrete shelters, fuel bunkers, and even mothballed aircraft to rot on the aprons. Part of the field lived on. Today, NATO jets fly air policing missions from the very runways the Soviets built, but the old Soviet infrastructure around them sits derelict, a decaying shell wrapped around a working airfield. Number 4, a secret city under the ground. In the forest near Nemenčinė, the Soviets dug a hidden command bunker, 3,000 square meters of sealed rooms, blast doors, and air scrubbers, built so the party and its broadcast could survive a nuclear war. It appeared on no public map, and the locals living above it had no idea what lay beneath their feet. Inside, the bunker is a time capsule of the Cold War. Soviet telephones, gas masks, propaganda posters, and reels of tape still sit exactly where they were left. The air stays cold and still, and the sealed corridors run on for room after buried room. Officially, it never existed, and when the Union fell, it was simply sealed and forgotten. Only years later was it opened up, a buried government hiding place. frozen exactly as its keepers abandoned it. Number 3, a city built from nothing, for the atom. To run the giant power station at Ignalina, the Soviets raised an entirely new town in the forest, Visaginas, and filled it with nuclear workers brought in from across the Union. Its wide modernist avenues and apartment blocks rose out of bare woodland in the 1970s, a planned atomic city where almost everyone spoke Russian. Then its whole reason to exist was switched off. When the Ignalina plant was forced to close, the town lost the industry it had been built around, and its young people began to leave. Visaginas still stands, orderly, Soviet and half empty. An island of the vanished Union marooned in the Lithuanian forest, growing quieter and smaller year by year. Number 2, the most powerful reactor on Earth, and the twin of Chernobyl. The Ignalina nuclear power plant ran RBMK reactors of the very same design that exploded in 1986, only larger. At full power, its units were among the mightiest ever built. For years, this single plant generated most of Lithuania's electricity, a colossus of Soviet atomic ambition. Standing on the shore of a quiet lake, it was built to power the Soviet Northwest for a century. That shared design became its death sentence. As the price of joining the European Union, Lithuania was required to shut Ignalina down, its reactors judged too dangerous to keep running so close to Europe. The first unit went dark in 2004, the second on the final day of 2009, and a country lost its greatest source of power almost overnight. Taking the plant apart will run for decades and cost billions, as engineers slowly dismantle a reactor that can never simply be walked away from. So faithful was it to the original that filmmakers used its halls to recreate Chernobyl on screen. The Colossus still stands beside the lake, powered down, sealed up, and being pulled apart piece by radioactive piece. And number 1, the missiles beneath the forest. By Lake Plateliai, in what is now a national park, the Soviets carved out Plokštinė, the first underground ballistic missile base in the entire USSR. Soldiers dug its 4 silos into the earth by hand, sinking shafts nearly 30 meters deep, then covered the whole complex over and let a forest grow back on top of it. Nothing on the surface gave the smallest hint of what was sleeping below. Down in those shafts stood 4 R-12 nuclear missiles, each carrying a warhead many times more powerful than Hiroshima, each able to reach targets right across Western Europe. From this silent Lithuanian wood, crews stood ready to launch Armageddon at London, Paris, or Bonn. A doomsday machine hidden under the pines, its finger on the trigger for 16 years. Life on the base was its own kind of exile. Several hundred soldiers served here in total secrecy, living in a cramped underground ring around the silos, breathing filtered air and sworn never to speak of what they guarded. They pulled endless shifts beside the fueled missiles, drilled for a launch order that could come at any hour, and knew that if that order ever came, the forest above them, and much of Europe, would not survive the day. The base was so secret, it was ringed by an electric fence and never spoken of. The villagers nearby were simply told to keep away. It was deactivated in 1978, stripped of its weapons and abandoned, and those 4 silos still gape open in the forest floor today. Now, the site is a museum. You can climb down into the shaft where the empire once kept the end of the world. 8 forbidden places, from a palace built on graves to 4 nuclear missiles buried under a forest. Everything a frightened empire made in Lithuania, and then walked away from when its time ran out. The pines have grown back over most of it. Next time, we cross into Latvia, to a secret radar city the Soviets hid so well it still doesn't officially exist. Subscribe, and we'll take you inside the wire.